Hello, it's Wendy. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm coming here today with another art journal with me video. This is a very simple idea, but oh man, is it really effective in your messy, intuitive, abstract art journaling exploration. So if you like this video, please like the video, please leave a comment, please subscribe to my channel. That's all super duper helpful and just makes the person behind the videos feel really good. So anyway, let's get to it. So I woke up in the morning, I was just excited to get to my journal. I popped the camera into the tripod and I just grabbed whatever was on my desk. And it just so happened that I had a piece of paper towel that had been used who knows how many times when I do watercolor painting, where I'm just wiping off excess paint onto a paper towel. I actually have quite a large stash of these paper towels that have been used. It's kind of that kind of thing where mixed media artists don't really throw a lot of stuff away, which we could have a whole conversation about that. Like, yeah, you don't want to throw stuff away, but you also don't want to become a hoarder. So we really need to also be having that conversation. But a paint paper towel, a paint rag is particularly useful in mixed media art. And the reason why is that layering is a big part of mixed media art and art journaling, creating the depth. And when you can use fluid matte medium like I'm using here and a paintbrush. Now just realize this is a dedicated paintbrush that I only use with matte medium. You want to have separate paintbrushes for actually painting with, if you have watercolors, you want watercolor paintbrushes, acrylics, you want acrylic paintbrushes, and then you want to have a couple inexpensive brushes that are just dedicated to applying wet adhesives. So I will tell you about this paintbrush. This is also made by Yasutomo. I'm a big fan of their line of brushes. They're called fusion brushes. And these fusion brushes are quite a miracle because you can use them for watercolors, you can use them for acrylic paint, or you can use them with your wet adhesives. Now, they're very inexpensive and you want to have separate sets for each use. So if you're using them for watercolor, don't think that you want to be dipping them in the wet mediums, the wet adhesives, because they'll never be the same again once they've gone into the adhesives. Okay, but so what I'm using here is a flat Yasutomo fusion brush, and I am applying this fluid matte medium. Now I'm applying it to the page in my art journal, and then I am also applying it on top of the tissue. So when you do this process of applying tissues onto mixed media art, whether it's an art journal page, you could use tissues in any project, artist trading cards, tags, anything. And there's a lot of beautiful tissues on the market. A lot of artists have designed gorgeous tissues. You can get them from different manufacturers. And that is just, it's a great way to layer color, grunge, imagery. And all I'm doing is I'm using my own paper towels that are left over from my watercolor practice. And I'm taking pages in my journal that had nothing going on. And what I'm adding to them is grunge, color, and spontaneous marks. So I think that is for me, and I hope for those of you guys watching this, this is like the crux of why I'm even making this video, okay? So spontaneous, what is the right word? Abstract. How can I communicate this to you? Like, my biggest problem in making the kind of art that I want to make is letting go of thinking, letting go of perfectionism, letting go of the need to pre-plan something, to have something look a certain way. I want my work to look childlike, honestly. Like, to me, that is the greatest that is the greatest accomplishment that I could make, is to have my work look free and, what is the right way to say this? It's spontaneous. It's without all of the things that go on in an adult mind, I guess. When I see children's artwork, there's something so wonderful about it. And all I want to do is capture that innocence and that feeling. And getting to that place for me is very, very hard, but I never give up. And I'm not saying I ever really achieve it, but I'm looking for ways to achieve that spontaneity. And using these unplanned deposits of pigment on paper towel and adhering them into my journal, it gives me some of that feeling. And I'm really, really, really happy that I did this today. It's like I've known about this technique for a long time. Maybe I've used it a little bit, but I definitely haven't used it a lot. And I can see why I would want to use this technique a lot. Again, I have a pretty big pile of these things, and they really, really are great. It is a really great technique to get some color onto a page, but in a way that does not in any way look like you intended it. It's got that freedom, that spontaneity about it. It has that added level of grunge that I always love. So I wanted to share that tip with you today. If even if there's acrylic paint on there, that's just as good. So yeah, here I am rinsing out my paintbrush. And you really want to get that matte medium out of the paintbrush. It would be even better after I rinse it out in that water if I went over to my sink and I ran it under some fresh water and then just squeezed it out and let it dry. So at this point, my pages are pretty wet. The paper towel is pretty wet. And I want to either let it dry naturally or go in with a heat tool. So someone had asked me in a previous recent video, what is a heat tool? And this is definitely a mixed media 101 conversation here. So this is actually, I've had this heat tool for over 30 years. It's sometimes called an embossing gun. It's like a hairdryer. And it's funny for me to even be describing what this is, because I know that the people who have been doing mixed media art forever are like, why is she explaining a heat gun? But guys, you have to realize there's a lot of people who have never made any art like this before, and they are watching these videos too, and they've never seen an embossing tool or a heat gun. And so don't make fun of me for explaining some of the most basic stuff in my videos, because that's my intention with these videos, is just to really go to the most basic things that a lot of us take for granted. So a heat gun or an embossing tool is like a hairdryer, but it's way warmer. So when you turn it on, the air that's coming out of it is many times hotter than a hairdryer. And it speeds up the drying, obviously, of anything wet in your journal or in the work that you're doing. So if you don't have patience and you don't want to wait for something to dry, you can carefully blow it with this very hot air. The thing about it is you do have to be very careful because the air is so hot. So these guns will melt plastic, and that's why they're also used for embossing, which I'm not going to talk about. I'm not a big fan. I mean, I guess I don't know. There's probably, look, embossing, that's a whole other subject, using rubber stamps and embossing powders and then creating the look of thermography or just raised plastic imagery. That's a thing. It's not necessarily my thing. It was very popular. Definitely had a heyday. Probably about 30 years ago. Some people still use the technique. It has its advantages. Let's just say that. I should probably use it more. Anyway, not going to go into that whole thing or how you do it or whatever, but that's also a mixed media 101 conversation. But anyway, if you want to do mixed media art, it's probably a really good idea to get a craft gun, a heat gun, an embossing gun. It makes your life a lot easier. Okay, let's just say that. So mine is very well loved, and actually it makes an awful noise when I turn it on. That's how old it is, but it still works, so I'm not going to replace it. Okay, so anyway, I'm going to finish drying this, and then after it's dry, I'm actually going to have a lot of fun tearing the excess paper towel from the edges. And what I will end up having is some really cool background that I can then start layering more things onto. Or probably, I mean, I really think these are so pretty. Probably for me, it would be a background that I could do hand lettering on. It would be a background that I could put a focal point on. Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely magical. And there's no way in a million years that I would be able to intentionally add color that would look this random and natural without it being basically unintentional. It's like accidental art. It's the garbage that we add to our journal that to me is the most kind of crucial and the most exciting part of art journaling. So that's why having just a bunch of garbage around you, I mean, I'm calling it garbage, but it's actually the most valuable thing we have. That is, to me, the key to successful art journaling. So having a messy workspace with fragments of projects and parts that you're pulling off. See, the parts that I'm pulling off, those, I wouldn't throw those away. Those could sit on my desk for a long time. They might find their way into another page. And they just develop sort of this natural, delicious grunginess to them that you can't make it if you try. It can only happen just by accident. So yeah, so that was a really, really, really basic technique. If you don't do watercoloring and you don't have paint rags, you can purchase craft tissues. You can use paper napkins. So that's a whole thing. There's a whole world of people out there using cocktail napkins. You just take them apart, you unply them, and you can do the same technique and apply that as a background on a journal page. Yeah. So now you see me looking at other things that were on my desk. Yesterday I took a quilting class and I had little pieces of fabric on my desk, and I just thought this little piece of fabric is so gorgeous. I was thinking maybe I would want this little piece of fabric here. I ended up deciding against it, but I was just playing with it. Okay, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this art journaling with me session, a little bit of mixed media 1 stuff in there. And like I said, if you like videos like this, make sure to like this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and go on over to willowwanders.com. You can sign up for my class, Mixed Media 101, which is totally free. On that website, willowwanders.com, just go over to the resources page and you'll find that class and a whole lot of other free resources. We also have amazing classes that are not free, that are truly incredible. Things like Fodder School, got Megan Quinlan's classes on there, her junk journaling classes, which are incredible. And yeah, everything.